This is Just Nigeria coming up on the program. Increase in cases of sexual violence against women. Nigerians demand justice and an end to the culture of silence. And we meet Zimbabwe's first professional female boxer. Plus,
hi, my name is Tope Oshin. I'm a filmmaker. Check me out.
The award-winning film artist passionate about changing the world with our movies. Welcome to Just Nigeria from the BBC and Channels TV, where we bring you fresh perspectives to stories being shared and liked on social media. I am Wale Fakile. On to our top story for this week. Now, over the past week, there has been a series of violent sexual attacks and reports of women being murdered across the country. These acts have made headlines causing widespread anger. Some people have taken to the streets in protest, calling on the government to issue a state of emergency on sexual and gender-based violence. But are these protests enough to guarantee justice is served? What should be done to ensure stricter penalties are adopted to deter culprits? Just Nigeria's Ajoke Ulotse has been finding out.
The death of a 100-level microbiology student of the University of Benin led conversations on social media in Nigeria over the last weekend. 22-year-old Uwaila Omozua was reportedly raped and murdered in a church where she had gone to study.
Before the guy gave the ghost, on Friday there was an exchange of words between me and the police. I called the IPO because I said some of those material that was used in brutality, beating the gate up, like the fire extinguisher that was broken, the gate eyeglass that is there, are they under your hands? The lady IPO now gave the answer to the inspector, was now asking me, are you talking to me or fool? Why will you be giving me an instruction of fool? I said, I am not giving you an instruction, but I only tell you that the condition of this girl remain the same. And eventually, if the girl even die, he those things are not under your custody. The prosecution will fail.
Just days after Uwa's death, tragedy struck again in the Bellows house in Ibadan. Barakat was also reportedly raped and killed at home.
What can they do that would bring my child back? Nothing they do can replace her. But what I'm telling God is if it's an adult, young person, man or woman who killed my child, you should expose them before 7 days.
Calls for justice for Uwa and Barakat have been loud on social media, with some protesters taking to the streets. But just how difficult is it to get justice for rape victims in Nigeria? Over the last decade, Nigeria has seen increasing numbers of sex and gender-based offenses. These rising numbers have done little to douse the stigma that has bettered a culture of silence, especially among survivors and their relatives. Even when they speak up, justice appears elusive. 24-year-old Omoumi says she was gang raped in 2018. She says 7 men violated her after she was misled by a self-acclaimed friend.
They were playing music, so they loud it. The volume was so high that nobody will hear, even if I'm shouting. And that my friend was there. So they started beating that I should take tramadol and codeine. I was like, why will you force me to take that? I can't take it. They started beating, so they gave me, since they're much, their power is than mine. So I took the tramadol and codeine. So I'm unconscious. I don't know what happened. All I know is that they undressed me and they slept with me. They were much inside that room. So then I was a virgin. So blood was very much. So to just say that they wash my clothes, they dry it, till 3 that were closed. We are still locked inside that room.
Do you want them to pay for what they've done to you? Do you think you'll feel better if they pay for what they've done to you?
I want, but at a point, you have to think back. Let me just forgive them. It's because it's been delayed, so there is nothing we can do. They have the opportunity to come to us, to come and be begging. Since there is nothing we can do, we just have to let them go.
Till date, the 7 suspects who allegedly violated Omoumi are walking free. An unduly expensive criminal prosecution system and a wheel of justice turning slowly but grinding nothing could mean rapists sometimes walk free, while survivors are left with nightmares. Chijioke's 4-year-old daughter was defiled by a neighbor in 2010. Justice was slow, but he kept at it. 8 torturous years after, the rapist received a 2-year jail term. He tells me the criminal justice system left him even more concerned.
At the police station, I didn't pay anything initially, but for the case to be charged to the courts, let me use your words, I mobilized them. As at then, I mobilized them with 3,000 naira, which they say was for administrative costs. Enabled them to charge the case to courts. And when it got to the courts, on each day that the case comes up, the police, there will get 1,000 naira to enable them to bring the accused. And one other thing is that when they gave me paper to go to the hospital, to the best of my knowledge, the police supposed to have gone with me because it's their responsibility. But they never did that. Despite all my pleadings, they exposed the child to danger. They exposed even myself to danger because they gave me that paper at 11:45 p.m.
Chijioke and Omowumi's experiences are not peculiar. The horrors of the aftermath have left many families in deep sorrow. Esther Ozoma is a lawyer and gender activist. She wants practical reforms to the criminal justice system.
If you write a petition, you follow it through. You don't just write a petition and leave it there. It will not work. Okay? So when you write, you follow it through. When you follow it through and it's eventually assigned, you also provide logistics to make sure the matter is investigated. What do I mean? The policeman, the IPO attached to you definitely does not have a vehicle. There's no official vehicle for arrest and investigation. You as a complainant, you have to provide that. Now, when you eventually go through the, hurdle of investigation and all that, when it comes to court trial, you have to provide stipends or transportation for witnesses. You have to, if you don't provide transportation to bring them to court, they will not come. Okay? So when you go through all this process and eventually when it comes to justice, our judges are not shy. Once there's sufficient evidence, they give judgment one way or the other. But before you come to the point of letting the court make a pronouncement, it is not a tea party.
Feintola is a therapist who deals with survivors of sexual assault. She says justice is crucial to dealing with the emotional, psychological, and sometimes physical trauma that comes with rape.
The impact that lack of justice has on victims, has on survivors, is enormous. Is enormous. A number of times, this is what happens to rape victims. They feel guilty, they feel ashamed, they feel stigmatized, they feel dirty. Imagine the person that did that to them walking about freely. They are pained while the other person is walking about freely. But if that person gets justice, to some extent, it relieves the guilt or the burden in their mind.
While protests continue on the streets and conversations are sustained on social media, sad memories of victims like Uwa and Barakat will keep their loved ones up at night for years to come until justice is served. Ajoke Hulotse, Gist Nigeria.